Hello and welcome to the SFCA podcast. Our goal is to inspire travel. We want to expose you to what Miami and South Florida has to offer. From Key Biscayne to Coconut Grove, South Beach to Calle Ocho and everywhere in between. Miami is a vibrant city and offers a wide array of popular attractions and venues. Come join us. Welcome everyone. Another busy month in what is the official season in South Florida. Special recognition to all the sales teams, hotel managers, and support staff that are on this call. We truly appreciate your support. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. On this call, we share updated facts, figures, and stats from South Florida tourism. And it's just been informed and confirmed that we are probably the only mechanism that shares this information as in-depth as it should be. We also share this file, all presentations as well as the video after the call. So if you missed any portion of it, you had to leave the call earlier, you came in late, you're more than welcome to review both the video as well as its content after the call. We have some entertaining and informative facts that we'd like you to enjoy. COVID is a wake-up call for many. We've learned to pivot and change how we think, how we live. COVID has also taught us that we do not know our true abilities. Our resilience has gotten us through, but will continue to guide us into the future. Together, we can accomplish anything. Another busy month in South Florida. We have the South Beach Wine and Food Festival later this month. We have the International Boat Show gearing up. And last but not least, probably the most joyed weekend is, especially the beautiful weather, is the Coconut Grove Arts Festival. Ensuring that everyone is familiar with the chat feature, you're welcome to ask questions to the panel via chat or the Q&A buttons. We will respond accordingly at the end of their presentation or during the presentation. From Ceci Velasco, unfortunately, she had to excuse herself due to the last-minute city meeting that was rescheduled. She sends her regards, but she wants to remind everyone of the music series on the promenade. Ocean Drive's newest free music series kicked off February 6th with classical music performances every Sunday at 5 p.m. And the beauty of it is they're free. The series' first concert was on the 6th. We have another concert on the 13th, the 20th, and the 27th. If you'd like to see that information, just Google the Ocean Drive series, and you will be more than happy to get all that information. Our panel this morning is the legendary Monty Trainer, president of the Coconut Grove Arts Festival, Andrew Roman-Smith, the man that has all the facts and details from the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, and then Naomi Ross from Toys Tonight, with locations in South Beach and Wynwood. Without further ado, I introduce you to Mr. Monty Trainer. You have the microphone, sir.
Good morning. Nice to be here with you. It's a nice foggy day outside, a little rain.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and then the art festival and its history?
Well, myself, I opened Monty's in 1969, and then we had the Village Inn, we had the Ginger Man, we had about 7 places in the Grove. I love Coconut Grove, number one. I got here in 68 when I left the University of Florida and came to Coconut Grove, and I've been here ever since. But I started out in Key West before I went to University of Florida. So the Key West and Coconut Grove all kind of blend together. It's a nice village feel. You know, we got our park out here. This is like our Central Park is. Only we're a waterfront park out in the Grove with our fest. We do 1 mile of art on the water in a beautiful park. So that part is really fantastic as far as the growth of Coconut Grove, what's caused the growth, what people like me to stay, and it's a wonderful feeling here. And I'm very involved in New Old School. I've been twice chairman, and been on the board 15 years, and also with the Dade County Cultural Affairs Council. Years. I've been very active at the University of Miami, and I'm a Bull Gator and a Golden Cane, which is kind of unique. You know, Gainesville's my heart, but Miami's my town, so so I walk both sides of the street there with the universities, but I enjoy it. It's a nice feeling to be so involved in the community. And we have been on the original board of the Greater Miami Visitors and Convention Bureau. I'm one of the founders. There were 4 from the beach and 4 from the city and I was a Shabbos goy. I broke the ties and all, so that was nice. And we've done a lot in tourism and with the Miami Visitor and Convention Bureau. It's been a real reward thing as far as we're concerned. They've Bill Talbot and his group, and now David, have done such a great job of promoting Miami, and I feel like I was such a great part of it. I really am. I turn back to look at all the great work that the Convention Bureau has done, and even with all the problems we've had, they've kept us out front. They've kept us all over the world. I remember we had powwow a couple of times here, and we went to New Orleans and we cooked a paella for the Visitor and Convention Bureau so I really feel like I've been involved in the Convention Bureau, and I really love promoting Miami and Coconut Grove, especially Coconut Grove, but all of Miami, because we had the restaurant on the beach and everything also. So we're still promoting everything. Anyway, I don't want to ramble too much. Maybe somebody can spoon feed me some questions or something like this, and I can be more relevant.
Sure, of course. So tell us a little bit more about the festival. What is it? Obviously, you didn't have one last year because of COVID, but what is the average attendance of the festival, the numbers?
Well, it's always been right around the $100,000 number, sometimes a little bit over, sometimes a shade below, but it's that's the benchmark, probably 100,000. And it's and except for I think when we have a rain, or we had the shooting, or we had a hurricane that drops off some, but usually it's 100,000.
Okay. And then for one that has never gone to the festival, what can they expect? What should they be looking for? Any pointers?
Well, you know what, I've always said it's a day or 2 days where you come and you experience. It's a family day at the drive-in. We've got so many things going on. We've got culinary, we've got art, we've got music, we've got beautiful views. It's just a whole experience. It's not just an art show. It's a whole day, a whole family experience. Every corner you turn, you find something new, and you got plenty of free areas to walk along the water, to observe the art. We have great art. We have 278 artists this year. We were worried about there was going to be a downturn, but we stayed very strong. And we only my artist coordinator has just walked in the room. If you have any direct questions you'd like to ask of Camille Marchesi, we stole her from Winter Park, which is a great show, by the way. So any direct questions regarding the art and the artist, she can give you all the information you need.
Great. So out of just sticking on the directive of the artist, what qualifies someone to be part of the festival? Do they have to qualify in any way, shape, or form, or do they just pay a fee, or are they invited?
I'll let Camille come in and talk to you about that.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Camille. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Camille.
What we do, we open up our application process in the summer, and about 1,000 artists will send their slides, their images to us, and then fall we convene a jury of really qualified experts, be they artists, educators, curators themselves, to come and review all the applications, and they're scored 1 to 10, and basically we take the top scores, and that's how we invite our artists. It's definitely not a first come first serve, it's not just anyone can be in our show.
Understood. And what is the criteria utilized to qualify the artists?
Well, they're scored based on their skill level. Well, not so much their skill level, but their talent, their ability, their bodies of work.
So, okay. So, and then there is a cost involved. I know for many years it was at no charge. Obviously, economics played a factor, so you had to charge. What is the current cost to gain admission to the festival?
General admission is $20 per ticket.
And that's for the entire weekend, or for
yes, all 3 days.
Perfect. And then I know
It's a
that's
single ticket for each day, $20.
okay, so each day is $20.
Yes.
And then do you have a weekend
Yes.
rate?
We have a 3-day pass. Yes. You have to go on the website. I think they can pick that up. We have all the information up on our website.
Okay. And then also, I know parking is an issue. I used to work in the Grove at the Grand Bay Hotel, and I know when the festival came around, as well as the Mutiny, when the festival came around, parking was certainly an issue. What do you have all designated parking spaces or parking lots that people can utilize?
Well, we have like my building where we're sitting right now has 850 spaces.
The
Right
Mayfair?
there, the old Sonesta, they have the area. They have a parking lot there that has about 700 spaces.
Okay, good.
All over the Grove, people seek out parking. I remember when I used to have my house on Tiger Tail, I had people in my yard all the time.
We do have a map on our website that will indicate different parking areas that are open to us or open to our visitors.
Okay.
But there is a map on the website. And that's www.cgaf.com.
Excellent.
Woody Weiser and Donnie were part of the Greater Miami Business Convention Bureau when we first started.
Yes.
Was David Curlin over there at the hotel at that time?
Yes, David Curlin. I remember when I worked with David at the Omni before the Grand Bay.
Yeah.
Oh, we could probably have lunch and go back to old times with Woody Weiser, Donnie Lefton.
I'd love to do that, as a matter of fact.
It was definitely a great time in the Grove.
Give me a buzz sometime and get together after the festival. Maybe John.
Most definitely.
The Peacock Cafe is really handsome. It reminds me of Key West. I love having lunch over there. I guess you've seen our new poster this year.
Yes.
It was
Do we have any questions from the audience? We have a pretty good attendance. We'll make sure. Let's see.
We've changed our posters a little bit.
No, don't have any. All right. Well, Camille, Mr. Trainer, thank you very much for your presentation. And I'll see if there's any questions throughout the remainder of the call. You're more than welcome to stay on with us. We've got our update with the Bureau now. Andrew, are you on?
Sure am.
Go ahead and share your screen, please, and see if we can get you on. Perfect. So now, for those of you who haven't joined us, Andrew Wobensmith is a Director of Research and Business Intelligence and has all the facts and figures that we so desire for this really interesting time in South Florida. So without further ado, Andrew, take it away.
Thanks, Miguel, and no pressure to give you the latest and the greatest. I appreciate that, and thank you, Monty, for the kind words about the Greater Miami Convention Visitors Bureau. And we're working here very hard every day to bring tourism to Miami-Dade County, and I'm very proud to work for this organization, and I get to see all the things that we do on the ground level. So, really happy to be here. And talking about tourism, I've been doing this every month now, I guess, since August. So every month I try, when I come here, to give a comprehensive view of tourism, but not always give you the same things every time, because I know if you're coming on this call every month, I don't want it to get boring for you. I like to talk about our industry, but also what it looks like from a macro view, right? Because I know that the things that are going on here on the ground are directly tied to what's going on out there in the world. So, while I put this stuff together every month, I'll sit here and I'll put this information together. At the same time, I listen to podcasts. And when I listen to podcasts in the background, I'm listening to other surveys and other research and stuff like that. And then I realized how sad that is, that here I am working on research. And when I want to take a break from research, I'm listening to somebody else's research. So maybe I need to get another hobby or something like that. But I just find it really interesting. And I'm sure a lot of you out there feel the same way as I do. I think that information and data for a lot of us satisfies our inner geek. We really want to know more about what's going on about the world around you. So every month, as I put this stuff together, I endeavor to give you the latest and the greatest. As I like to say, really, we want to give you signal and not noise. So today, it's all about the signal without all the noise. So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the sentiment that we see out there right now in terms of what we see on a consumer level, and then maybe what we see going down to the traveler level. And then finally, what do we see on the ground here? We've talked in the last couple of months about thinking and perceptions and consumer perceptions and how it is that they actually influence behavior and ultimately how our industry is performing here in Miami-Dade County. So I've been sharing some of the results of these surveys for months now. We look at some of these sentiment surveys. Andrew Group does a pretty good job of putting out a tracking survey. And this last month, they were doing a lot of research on travelers. They're saying that of this last survey, just over half of the adults they surveyed said they're likely to take a trip during the first part of 2022, which I think is great. It's driven mostly by these younger travelers. Interestingly, when we look at those people who are not going to travel here, the majority of those people that say that they're not going to travel in the first 6 months are saying that COVID still has an impact on their travel plans for the next 6 months, which I think is interesting. It's not new. We've been seeing this going on for months. But what I thought was really interesting about this little piece of information was among that group of people who are hesitant about traveling, it's those people that are actually already vaccinated that are having an issue and having more concerns about traveling that are not. Now, I did not intuitively know this. I don't have that personal concern about traveling, but I've talked to a few other people since I saw this little stat and said, how do you feel about that? And a lot of them tend to agree with this. They had been vaccinated, but they're still a little hesitant about traveling in the near term. If we looked at consumer research a year ago, the story was what prevented people from travel. Their number one reason was getting a vaccine. So the number one thing we saw holding people back was getting this vaccine. And now we see here a year later, those people who are saying that they can't travel or are hesitant to travel are doing so. More so, those people have already received a vaccine. So I found that interesting. I have a couple of family members that have been down here visiting recently from New York. They're very concerned about getting COVID here in Florida. Hate to tell them that there's COVID up there in New York too, but they sort of fall in that classification too. They're still very wary about traveling all over the place, and there are chances of running into people who have COVID and maybe get it themselves. So, however, I will also point out here, and I've been saying this for months. If you've been on these calls, you've seen this stuff over and over again. I'm pointing this out to you again because this is still part of the trends that we're seeing, is that just as many people who are concerned about COVID and traveling are also concerned about their finances. And this we keep saying over and over and over again, that there are concerns out there that people have when it comes to their finances. And as a lot of us already know, when it comes to travel, people generally allot their budgets. And with travel, it's a disposable expense. So after they're done paying their bills, their rent, their mortgages, everything else, then it's about spending money on travel. And if they don't have it, then they don't have it, and they're not going to travel. So we see here that these concerns are really on the same level as those of COVID, right? So we keep talking about COVID all the time as being this potential barrier to travel, but keep in mind, it's not just COVID, it's also concerns about finances. Another little factoid that I found here was that there's a lot of trepidation about people and flying. A lot of people are saying that they're afraid to travel by air because of these belligerent passengers, which no doubt many of us have seen in the media recently. There's a lot of people that don't want to wear masks, or they're just not happy about things going on at the airport. Interestingly, though, these are people that talk about being afraid to travel by air, and I totally understand that. I would not want to be on a flight with people who are belligerent passengers. However, if my option is also to potentially drive to a location, we put the kids in the car, we may have some belligerent passengers and the kids in the car when we're driving to Disneyland. So maybe you just pick your poison and you go with it if you're going to be traveling in the near term. I will say here too, another survey that pops out here, Destinations International does a good job with their traveler survey. And we can see that from their research, and we see it playing out here in the ground in terms of performance, that the sentiment has recovered. And certainly people are not nearly as concerned about COVID as they were in the past. It looks to me like this bump of concern about Omicron has lifted, and people are really starting to return back to optimism that we haven't actually seen since the summer. I'm looking at those reasons for travel. It appears that family travel looks to be the most popular. Spending time with loved ones seems to be at the top of their list. Now, I've talked a little bit about this sentiment from travelers. I'm going to share with you another chart, which I think is going to tell the whole story. I don't want you to get alarmed, but here we try to give you the good, the bad, the signal, not the noise here. But I heard about this one survey recently that's been running for a long time. It's from the University of Michigan. It's their Consumer Sentiment Survey Index. This has been going on since 1960. So this is a very established poll. And I want to show you this because this really kind of gives a picture of where we're at from a perception standpoint. And as I've been talking for months, perceptions are one thing and reality are not, they're sometimes not the same. But what really counts here is perception, because perception really becomes a reality, because that's exactly what we're going to see on the ground. And given this comparison for the last couple of years, you can see that in 2019, which is where I started this comparison, sentiment was very high in 2019, and there's very few people that wouldn't agree that we were really doing very well. We felt very good about our finances. We felt very good about a lot of things in 2019, and that sentiment carried through into 2020 up until we know when the pandemic started, and we took a very drastic drop in terms of sentiment. That sentiment how it has improved a little bit. Since then, has not really improved that much. And what we see over the last couple of months is we have definitely seen some downturn. That's been it's been a trend downward. It's not just a one-time thing. I will say that this is the lowest it's been in 10 years. So, as I've been talking about for months here, there's perception, there's reality, and right now the perception is a lot of people are very hesitant. They have a lot of trepidation over their finances for the near future. So, just pointing that out there to paint this landscape of what we're seeing from a macro perspective. This does not necessarily mean it's going to affect travel here in Miami. And I want to put that out there right now. This is just a landscape. We know here that in Miami, we are very fortunate as a destination in that we have the kind of customers that many other destinations would dream of. We have the customers that come here that want to spend money. They want to stay in beautiful hotels. They want to experience the luxury lifestyle of people who live in Miami. So for them, cost is not really a big deal. Their finances are not the same to them as it would be for somebody who's maybe traveling that's more budget conscious. So again, pointing this out to here, I think this was a really interesting thing that I found that may or may not play out in the coming months for us. Looking at airfare search activity, because I think this is one way to look and see where are people thinking. Are people searching online for airfare greater, lesser than they were 2 years ago? And we get this information from Kayak. It's been a pretty reliable source of information. And what we're seeing here, and I've been sharing this for months now, but we saw a marked decline when Omicron first started coming on the picture in terms of airfare searches. So people definitely were backing off of travel plans. But we can see here over the last month that we see a lot of improvement. And we can see here that this has been improvement across the board. I've taken the top hotel markets here and shown what their airfare search activity has been. We can see here that Miami is recovering, much like at the top of the list with some of the other ones, which is great news. I will point out here that some of these top destinations that are our competitors are also improving quite rapidly. We look at Tampa, we look at Orlando here, they are competitors, right? A lot of us don't always think about that, but Tampa and Orlando are two areas that are very popular, certainly, because of the different amenities that they have. Disney World is another place that people want to go to. Oftentimes people come to Miami and then they also go to Orlando as well. So pointing that out that things are improving across the board. This is definitely sentiment translating into actual performance, boots on the ground. I want to show just some dining activity. We get this data from OpenTable. It's been really great because the thing about dining activity is it shows recovery of people who live in an area, but also in terms of tourism, because this data here with dining activity is directly correlated to hotel. We look at hotel occupancies increase, so does the dining activity, and so on and so forth. And that makes sense, right? People come into town, they stay in a hotel, and they go out to eat. So what I've done here is I've just said, how do the other areas in Florida compare to what we're seeing here in Miami-Dade? And what we see here is that dotted line is what we see in Florida. Above that line are us. We're doing very well. We're over-indexing where we were at 2 years ago. Some of the other areas that are also doing well are Fort Lauderdale, just to the north here, doing great, actually probably doing the best of all these different areas. Down there towards underneath that line, really, we're looking at places like Boca. Boca's not doing nearly as well. Orlando is actually lagging a little behind when it comes to their dining recovery, which again will correlate to some extent with hotel activity and therefore tourism. So wanted to point that out, that these are the recent trends that we're seeing. I share this every month. I think this is the biggest takeaway that you could get from this presentation. This is our really comprehensive view of how tourism, these demand indicators, as we call them here in Miami-Dade County, looking at our airport, looking at our hotels and our restaurants. We're looking at that activity that's going on there. Again, boots on the ground. And we see here that across the bottom here, these bar charts, again, I've been sharing them. These are the last 6 months view. The takeaway here is that we have had a very sustainable recovery. We can see here that even 6 months ago to now, this performance has been really consistent. We are very close. We're indexing against 2 years ago. So we're comparing pre-pandemic to now. If we looked at a year ago, looking at Monday, February 8th of 2021, up there in that table, we'll see that air travel was only about 40% of what it had been in 19. Hotel was about 2/3. Dining was not quite recovered yet. Fast forward to now, we see that we are very close to where we were at in 2019 in terms of air travel, people staying in hotels. And we're actually continuing to over-index in terms of dining. So that's really been great news for us. All those things translate into a positive picture for tourism. I'll share this too. This data comes from Google. It's Google Mobility because they're tracking us not only online, but as well as where they're going. I want to share this with you. This is just another index that I created. These are not all tourism indicators. These are some of these other indicators, such as, are people going to shop in grocery stores? Are they going to retail locations? Are they going back to work? right? And so some of the stuff I've been looking at in this data has really been interesting. There's some relationships that are going on in this data, looking at, for example, in months past, I've been sharing about employment and the recovery of employment in our county. It's also directly correlated to what we're seeing here in this data. If you go down towards the third to the bottom there, that red series, that red line there of workplace, we see that there's a dip. There's a couple of dips here and there, but that index at the very end is really what's telling. And you see there that it's about 83% for the index for workplace, and residential is 106%. Well, we're comparing it 2 years ago. If 2 years ago was 100, now what we're seeing here is not everybody has returned back to work. And these numbers directly correlate to our job performance. So while we know that there are people probably still working from home, that is not necessarily the case. We're still seeing some lag. We see that in our numbers through employment. And again, I'm just illustrating here that we're seeing it reinforced once again in people actually physically traveling to the work. Looking at hotel demand, again, this demand indicator we look at over the last 6 months here, those bars certainly just represent the actual number of rooms sold by week. But really the telling sign here is on the bottom, these orange bars, they indicate the percent change from 2 years ago. And we can see here that demand still continues to lag a little bit, really improves over the holidays, but then we do see some drop off there. As of last week, we were down almost 8% in demand from 2 years ago, which is not terrible. But I also want to mention we were comparing to Super Bowl 2 years ago, right? Who believed that just 2 years ago we had Super Bowl? So again, we're still doing really well, lagging a little bit in demand, but overall, very consistent recovery. Looking at this average daily rates we've been talking about, the rates that we've been charging from hotels over the last year, I'll just say it's been bananas, right? We've really seen a lot of growth in hotel rate. If you're looking here in these line charts represent what we've seen weekly for the past 52 weeks. These little dotted lines, these little ants, those are the performance by these different markets and sub-markets. Those solid lines indicate how we actually did over the last year. And you can really see where they pulled apart. As an example, that solid line, that blue solid line represents the ADRs in Miami Beach weekly. And we can see that while going into the summer, we would normally see a really big decline in rates. But what we saw last year was actually exactly the opposite. It was like spring break in the summertime here, as many of us can remember. And those rates just simply went up and up and up and up. And they continued to be up all through the rest of the year. Particularly if you go towards the end, you see those spikes are just absolutely tremendous. We normally see very high rates at the end of the year. However, we saw this last New Year's, for the week of New Year's, we would normally be seeing around $500 ADR. Instead, we saw $750 ADR. So again, people are really spending their money here. They've been spending a lot of money on hotel rates. Where it ends, we don't really know, but we're very happy to see that this performance has been very great. I talk about this chart a lot. This is really us putting our ear on the ground and saying, where are we headed? This is just simply the pace of bookings for hotels in the upcoming 6 months. What I do is I pull this information. I look at this every week for the upcoming 6 months and say, are we booking more business? Are we booking less business? Is this pace going up? Is this pace going down here? And I'm sharing this. What's interesting is that I watch this all the time. There has been sort of a reversal than from the last time we were talking. Now, what we have seen for consistently the last couple of months is we've been seeing a less shorter term booking to a longer term booking, which is normal. During the pandemic, we looked at these short-term bookings. We looked at people who were not planning to travel in the long term. They were looking to travel very close to term. And as a result, the booking windows got closer and closer and closer. What we're seeing now, which is a good sign, is that people are now returning to what's considered more normal booking behavior, looking for travel, booking their hotels 6 months, 60 days or more out as opposed to close. So that's really great. And we see a lot of fattening up further out, which is what we want to see. It's definitely an improvement over what we've seen in the past. And much like I've been talking about with rate, last month I called this, when we look at rate on the books, I call it the canary in the coal mine, because we don't want to see this rate fall too much in terms of what we're seeing booking. Booking rates further out, booking higher rates definitely shows some confidence. It shows that hoteliers feel very good about asking these higher rates. People are willing to pay them. But what we see here is we've seen really high rates, folks, as I've already talked about. If you're a hotelier, you know this intimately, and we've all been very happy about these rates. But we see here that rates, I think, have plateaued. I think that they've gotten to a peak. I don't know that they're really going to go any higher. We'd love to see them go higher. But I think at this point, I'm going to make this call that what we're seeing right now is about the top of what people are willing and able to spend booking travel in the near term. So Just showing this graphically, this is the data. If you take a different picture away from this, that's fine too. So, but this is what we're presently seeing. Airbnb, actually, this has been changed a little bit as well. This is now starting to follow more about what I'm talking about in terms of hotel. We're seeing people starting to book. The pace is picking up further out again as people are traveling. They're planning their travel. Airbnb, once again, this pace is picking up. 4 months from now, people are starting to book more and more. So that's very encouraging as people continue to start to plan, and this pace is only picking up. Real briefly here, this data comes from Brand USA. This is our country's destination marketing organization. They do tracking surveys of international markets and their intent to travel here. And so 6 of these markets that I picked from their research are 6 of our markets as well. And what I've seen here is this travel intent has not been consistent, but we've seen over the last year, we see out of these 6 markets, Mexico is showing the highest propensity to travel outside of their country in the coming 12 months. We see some of these other markets, such as Canada. Canada, inversely, is certainly the lowest. And we saw a lot of enthusiasm in the last summer in terms of future travel out of these countries into other countries. But we've seen in some cases like Canada, where we've seen an actual reversal. We all know why that is. However, I know that for those of you following some of these current events, there could be some changes in mandates up there in Canada. A lot of us are hoping that's the case selfishly, because we know that there's a potential for people to want to reverse and want to be able to travel again outside of Canada to other countries. So we will keep an eye on that and see where it's going. How does that translate into visitation here on the ground? Well, you look at the airport here, looking at MIA, we can look at the split by day of international and domestic arrivals. We normally would see, normally meaning pre-pandemic, about a 50-50 split in terms of arrivals. And really what we're seeing here is it's still heavy domestic, although there are some days where we have seen a heavier influx of international arrivals. Generally speaking, the traffic at the airport is really being buoyed more by domestic. And then at the bottom, that table here, what it's really saying here is that Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia, they had the most amount of ticket sales coming into MIA through travel agencies. People purchase directly, and they also purchase through travel agencies. Purchasing through travel agencies is about 50% of our market coming into MIA. So that's a pretty good indicator of who's coming here. Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Canada is further down the list. Otherwise, this list are the normal markets, the normal rankings that they would come here pre-COVID. So good news, we are returning. It's been a little slower, but it's happening. Talking to Florida residents, which we do every month, we have a survey online. One of the things we ask our Florida residents, saying, hey, of those that are not willing to come to Miami or are not considering Miami for future travel, why not? What I did here is I showed this column for January, which was a year ago, asked them what their top barriers were, and then I'm showing the last several months of 2021 when we last spoke to them and said, what are your concerns now? And you can see there's a big change. As I mentioned earlier, there's concerns around COVID that we can certainly see a year ago to the left-hand side here. Top concerns for travel to Miami or not traveling to Miami in this case, where they were waiting for the vaccine. All these concerns were COVID related, right? Like they were the top concerns. But now we go to December, which is really essentially where we're at now. Those concerns have essentially diminished. And the biggest barrier right now seems to be they want to go somewhere else, which is why I mentioned places like Orlando and Tampa. They may be starting to consider these other places and saying, I've been to Miami, but I'm also looking at Tampa, Orlando as well. And they obviously have a lot of things to offer, and they are coming back like we are, in some cases just as strong. So putting it out there, I will say a couple positive takeaways from this again, COVID does not seem to be the concern that they had a year ago, but also I talked about finances and expenses. Nobody in this survey is saying it's too expensive to visit the Miami area, which I think is really great. And I mentioned this earlier. There are concerns that people have out there about spending, but it does not seem at this point in time to be a barrier for Florida residents coming to Miami. It's more about the desire to travel other places other than Miami, particularly in Florida. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. I think this is really a great way to read the tea leaves and see what's coming up here in the near future. Next month, should I be asked to come back, Miguel, and I hope I am, we've started working more and more with mobile data here at the Bureau. I've been doing this a lot in the last year, but there's so much data that's coming in. It's going to take some time to go through. What we love about mobile data is that while we can talk to our visitors and we can ask them where they went, well, we don't have to do that anymore. They have a phone on them. Big Brother is watching them and tracking them all over the place. It's a little scary, but at the same time, from a research perspective, it's really interesting and good stuff. So we'll be able to dig down a lot deeper and really definitively know where people are going in our market. We'll be able to look at places, events like the Coconut Grove Arts Festival. We'll know definitively those people, for example, going to the festival, where else are they going while they're here in market? Are they coming in? Are they flying? Are they going to the restaurants and so forth? So more on that in the coming months as we start to digest this data and really translate it into insights. Finally, I'll just leave here with you that in summary, we see that attitudes have definitely turned around about travel, while there's still a certain group of people that are holding on to some of the fear and trepidation about traveling because of COVID. For a lot of people, it's becoming a non-issue. I'm happy to say that. Our recovery, as we've seen, has been sustained. This is not a fluke. We have continually seen growth, and we are presently performing very close to where we've been at, in 2019, which was our strongest year. People are still paying a lot of money for hotel rooms. We're not complaining about that. We are the envy of other markets. I didn't share this, but in terms of the top 25 hotel markets, we are number one. Number one in terms of our occupancy, number one in terms of our rate, number one in terms of our RevPAR. And so that is something to brag about there. So we are doing very well from that standpoint. But as I mentioned before, I think we're probably at the top in terms of our rates. I don't anticipate us growing that rate a whole lot more. Again, I mentioned consumer concerns about their pocketbooks are still present. They may not affect our travel plans, right? It'll depend upon who you are, how sensitive you are to some of these changes in our economy. Finally, last but not least, other destinations are coming back around. But overall, we know, based upon the data that we have and looking at future data, that Miami Beach are still very much in demand. So I'll end on that note. And of course, any questions, feel free to ask. You'll get a copy of this presentation as well after this meeting.
Thank you, Andrew. As always, very, very informative. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to send us a chat or use a Q&A component on this Zoom chat, both for Andrew as well as Mr. Trainer. We are going to segue now over to Naomi. Naomi, if you can queue up your presentation, please.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and welcome everyone. To kick it off, I actually just want to do a little brief survey. I promise it's anonymous. In the chat, I'm about to share a little link. You simply click on it, and I'm going to go into a presentation mode to show people answering. So let me just share my screen real fast. So you simply click on the link and you will sort of use the sliders. I'm going to hide this. And you just click which thing is relevant to you, and then you submit it. And these will populate live. And I'll sort of see whoever's participated. So far just one person has participated. So let's just give it like another 30 seconds or so for others to share. Thank you so much. Let's see. Very cool. And if anyone ever wants to use this in the future, it's a platform called Mentimeter. It's really awesome. I come from a background more of like nonprofits and engaging people, so I like to get a sense of who's in the room. And it's a little hint at what I'm about to share with you as the words adult shop appear a few times. All right, so we're mostly based in Miami. Yay! What's good to see is that people are comfortable with adult shops. That makes me happy to see. All right. All right, so this is good. We'll start with this, and you can keep answering it. I'll just wrap up the presentation. But this helps me know that y'all aren't going to be afraid to hear what I'm going to share with you. So let me go and share my presentation now. All right, so we're really excited to be part of the South Florida Concierge Association. I have been living on the beach myself for a few years now, and of course, the beach and a large part of Miami has so many people that come visit us. And I work for a place called Toys Tonight, a little tagline, when you need it tonight. The thing that makes us stand out from other shops is that we actually deliver to hotels, to homes as well. And just a little bit about our founder. He has been in this business for many years. He began in Puerto Rico. And at the end of 2020, I forgot it's 2022 now. He realized that this was kind of an essential need. And so when he opened up in Miami under the brand of Toys Tonight, it actually first started only as delivery. And then it turned out that people were interested in us having storefronts. So we began in Wynwood, then we opened up in South Beach. And these are stores in Wynwood, or right kind of on the main corridor, just a little bit north of the popular original area off of 36th Street. That's our delivery hub and our flagship location. In South Beach, we are literally around the corner from Lincoln Road. So it's a great spot right off of Washington Ave. Very easy to see through the windows in that one. And it's a little bit smaller, so it just offers pickup right now. So the delivery that I mentioned, it is definitely very unique. I'm not quite sure there are any other stores that do it. We also will ship nationally, but the delivery locally, now available all across South Florida. So that's what I was asking who was in Broward. Within the Miami area, we try to promise within an hour or so. It just depends how far the location is from our Wynwood shop. But it's definitely like day of delivery. And if it's a little bit close to when we wrap up, which is around midnight, it would be delivered the next day. So I know when I gave a presentation last time, people are asking about the ETA. And then when it comes to fees, as long as your order is 100 plus, you can get a discount off of the delivery fees. And all the orders get placed right online on our website, toystonight.com. And if someone doesn't want to do delivery, they want to do pickup, they can also order and come to our shop to get their order. And I have a little picture with this brown bag because we deliver discreetly. You could be getting an Uber Eats or something. No one would know what you're getting. So it's very private. We promise that. I'm really excited that even less than a year that we'd been in Miami, we were acknowledged by Miami New Times as the best of, as the adult store. And we really pride ourselves on these kinds of recognitions because we're not the typical place. We don't have any video rooms. Our staff is really, really friendly in terms of, being there to greet you, make you feel comfortable. And just like if it's your first time or you've been there many times, we're there to help you find what you need. Another thing that I'm really excited about is that we were literally just featured on Encantada con Telemundo with a local sex educator, because we do also really believe in the education piece when it comes to our store and the things that we sell. We want to make sure people know what they're getting, or, if they really have no idea about anything, that we can sort of guide them in the right direction. And so there's the recording, the segment was on YouTube, and also our owner will be featured in another segment as well. Our team, we're a small team, but we're really kind of like family oriented. Most of us are younger. We do have some guys, but many of us are also women. So it makes everyone feel comfortable when they're coming into the shops. Some women feel more comfortable talking to women about things. If the guys feel more comfortable talking to guys, we make that happen. I think I might be the only gringa on the team. Everyone else is Latin, so it works well for Miami. I speak some Spanish, but solo un poquito. Everyone else can be there and help out if it's only a Spanish speaker. We attend events, like we were at the Best of Miami party. We're probably the most interesting table there. And we were also featured on a docuseries that actually will be wrapping up filming later today. So that's where I'm headed after this, about different sex positive businesses. And we're also out in the community. We support different events. Last year, we supported like an indie film fest that gets held at O Cinema every year. And then there's this little micro theater play that's been happening. We donated some toys. It's called Juegos de Seducción. I won't understand any of it, but I may try to attend it. I've heard it's very funny. And it's at Paseo de las Artes. And you can find us on social media. We try to keep it pretty professional there as well. Want to make sure our pages don't get taken down. On Instagram, we're at toys.tonight. And on Facebook, it's Toys Tonight Miami. We share about the different events that we have going on, maybe deals that are coming up on our different toys or products. And, you know, where we're out and about with maybe we're doing giveaways at an event or something like that. And what I'm really excited about is this weekend for Valentine's Day, we're doing an Intro to Boudoir workshop, and it's going to be at this really gorgeous space called the Luxe Galore. And it's like a production set, 3 different rooms, all unique. We have a professional photographer. We have a model to share about tips on posing and body confidence, and it's open to women only. And, you know, we sell lingerie. So the idea is that people can women can, you know, get lingerie and celebrate themselves, whether it's just for them or for their partner. And this is me, Naomi. This is how you can reach me. If I get to know you a little bit more, maybe I'll share a number so we can chat with each other. And the last thing that I'll do, I'll stop sharing the screen because I want to show you kind of the way that you can engage with us even more directly if you have hotels. What we give to our customers when we have these items, these goodie bags, is a little flyer. We have some lube samples, and our postcards can be really simple. We have like a Best of Miami card, so nothing risque on there, just talks about us, our locations. And what my owner would love to be able to do for hotels that are open to it is we can provide these in the rooms. Maybe it's just something for people who are doing their anniversary, or you have like a special suite or something. But if you're open to it, we'd love to provide these to you. It's fun. Everyone's adults. We know they're doing things. We might as well help them out. So that is going to wrap up my presentation. We can also share their presentation. If anyone wants to talk further, I'd love to do that. And I did that within like 10 minutes. So I'm proud of myself.
You did perfect. And have you still, I'm curious to see what you still taking the poll? Is it posted?
Oh, yeah, let's see. Let's see if anyone else, yeah, that's a good question. Let's see. You like that, huh? See, oh yeah, so let's see. Yeah, most people want to go to adult shops. That's great. That makes me happy. Y'all are based in Miami-Dade, and I can share this data with you. I think
okay, perfect.
Give a breakdown of the numbers. But this kind of graphic is cool. It can do it this way. It can do like a cool pie. I highly recommend this. It's,
all right. Well, thank you, Naomi. Hopefully, for those of you who had a stigma about adult stores, this has somewhat removed that stigma. And again, great option for Valentine's. You generally have dinner, you do the chocolates, you do the flowers. This is a little bit different. Now, I have a question for you, Naomi. Yeah. Regarding your event on the 11th, is it only open for women or couples or even men?
For this one, we're only opening it up to women. We can do ones in the future for couples, but we just want to make sure women feel comfortable and it's a safe space for expression. Our photographer is a male photographer. I worked with him, though. He's extremely professional. Our guest model is an amazing friend of mine. And, you know, I want to do these events more often. We want to do more sex ed opportunities, like with the therapist that we featured. Last year, I'd actually done a little survey to kind of, also anonymous, to get a sense of what people wanted to learn. So we're here to not only provide you with toys and fun goodies, but for people, you know, we don't get these kinds of things a lot in growing up in school. So as adults, we may think we're learning from videos that are out there a little wild and crazy. I won't talk about it, but a lot of that is not real. And in the YouTube that Paula's featured on, it's in Spanish, so whoever's a Spanish speaker, they'll understand it. But she goes to talk about, you know, things like communication and things that you can do to help your relationship out, which can include toys, because sometimes people are afraid of them. But there's so many fun things that you can do, and we're just here to support that.
Perfect. Thank you, Naomi. Hopefully you'll include that link as well to the YouTube. Yes. So those that want to feel free to hear it, you're more than welcome to do so. I think a majority of our community is now Latin. only English speaking are the minority. So oddly enough, thank you very much, Naomi, for an amazing presentation. Let me move on to the future. So next month, March 9th, if you want to set your calendar now at 10 a.m., we already have our lineup so far. We were missing one or two more, but we have the Washington Avenue bid. Troy Wright will be speaking to all of us, as well as the South Florida Symphony Orchestra. And then we have VLUE, that's spelled with a V, V-L-U-E, a new way to ride share. In closing, as we celebrate the month of love, let's be sensitive to each other's feelings and emotions. Let's build bridges, not walls. Let's strive to truly listen and hear better so we can better understand. And finally, let's never forget love cures all. Regardless of your gender preference, love is love. Subscribe to our newsletter. Our maestro will send you all the information in the follow-up email. Thank you, Monty. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Naomi. Monty, we have a lunch date that we will set up very soon. Thank you to all that attended. Look for our notes to be emailed to you. Have an amazing Valentine's, everyone. Have an amazing month. Peace, love, and God bless. Take care. Hello, and welcome to the SFCA podcast. Our goal is to inspire travel. We want to expose you to what Miami and South Florida has to offer. From Key Biscayne to Coconut Grove, South Beach to Calle Ocho, and everywhere in between. Miami's a vibrant city and offers a wide array of popular attractions and venues. Come join us.